Welcome back to the Prince Armory Academy. We've been building the full suit of Berserk armor, and we're down to the last few components. And in this tutorial, we'll be crafting the armor to cover the elbows. The patterns for this build can be found at the Prince Armory Academy website. The leather I've been using for this armor project is Weaver Select 9 to 10 ounce vegetable tanned leather. The leather, tools, and many of the materials used in this build can all be found at Weaver Leather Supply. Check the links in the description for their online store. If you're following along at home, you would scale and print out the PDFs and lay out the patterns and trace them onto the leather at this stage. Just refer back to some of our beginner to intermediate lessons for many tips and demonstrations on hand cutting. Since we also provide SVG files for laser cutting, I'll be using the Nova 16 to cut out the components. If you'd like to learn more about this machine or others in the Aeon Laser lineup, I'll leave a link in the description. If this happens to be your first time here, just be aware that I've already covered the crafting techniques necessary for this series in previous videos, and we'll also do a bit of a recap in the upcoming breastplate video, so this tutorial will go pretty quick and focus mostly on the assembly process. To get things started, I'll skive down some of the thickness from the tabs on part A. This will make assembly a little easier. Part A will join to part B using medium double-capped rivets. It's often the case that when tooling and wet forming leather, it will dry in a way that makes it tricky to line up the rivet holes, so you can use a tool to persuade the pieces into the correct position. And when assembling pieces that form complex shapes, it can also be tricky to reach the rivets to set them. Just maneuver the piece as needed and set the rivets from the inside if you have to. The elbow will have 4 lames that are connected via retaining straps and Chicago screws. The easiest way to go about this is to start with the retaining straps on part D. Then attach part C. From there, you can repeat the process for the other end. Then attach those to the assembled elbow cock. Then you can add the Chicago screws. And don't forget to add glue or thread lock to the screws. If you are using these elbows as part of a full arm harness, you would attach the vamp brace and rear brace at this time using the remaining holes. But if you're following along with the Berserk build, you'll not need to worry about that. The design for the Berserker Armor series is heavily inspired by the manga, but there are some functional and stylistic changes that were made. The elbow armor in the original manga just kind of floats on top of the garment, and it's a little on the small side, so I did take some extra liberty on this piece. I also added some articulating segments that add some extra visual appeal, and it will also give it more function if you were to use this design as part of a more traditional arm harness with van braces and rear braces. To hold these elbow pieces in place, I'm attaching a strap that will span the inner elbow and keep things in position. This alone will not be a perfect solution for any extended duration of wear. It would eventually shift around and slip down or bind with another component. So what you need to do is to either add attachment points to the sleeve of whatever garment you plan to wear under the armor, or you can do as I've done, and add a strap that connects the pauldrons to the elbow. And that's it. Here's a quick preview. If you want to see the full reveal, make sure you're subscribed and check out the next video, because in the next tutorial, we'll be completing this Berserk build and making the breastplate, tasses, and we'll do a quick recap of many of the basics. Or if you can't bear the wait, you might want to check out our Discord. I often post the first looks, early access, and behind the scenes content there.